In 1981, Scorpions were at the peak of their career. But then the worst happened. Their singer lost his voice, and doctors told him he would never sing again. With their tours canceled, the band was on the verge of giving up on its dreams. No one could have imagined that, out of that crisis, a powerful ballad would be born. One that would not only save them, but help them conquer the entire world. How did all of this happen? Let us begin. It all began in 1965, in a Germany still marked by the consequences of the post-war years. While in England, the Beatles were revolutionizing music, and Jimi Hendrix was only beginning to appear on the horizon. In the city of Hanover, a young man named Rudolf Schenker dreamed of becoming a rock star. So he decided to form his own band under the name The Nameless. Over time, The Nameless became The Scorpions, and eventually adopted the name by which we all know them today. Simply, Scorpions. During those early years, the band went through constant lineup changes. Some members left for military service, others simply moved on. But Rudolf did not give up. In 1969, 2 new additions would completely change the direction of the group. His younger brother, Michael Schenker, a prodigious guitarist of only 15, and a young singer with a unique, raspy voice named Klaus Meine, whom Rudolf had met in another local band called Copernicus. Both joined Scorpions at the same time, and the chemistry was immediate. With that lineup, they managed to record their first album, Lonesome Crow, in 1972. Its sound was dark and experimental, with psychedelic touches, still far removed from the hard rock sound for which they would later be recognized. However, their success was short-lived. In 1973, Michael Schenker was recruited by the British band UFO, and his departure left Scorpions without their lead guitarist. The group was now facing a critical moment. Without Michael, they needed to find someone capable of shaping the ambitious sound that was beginning to take form. After Michael Schenker left, Scorpions found themselves without their lead guitarist and on the brink of breaking up. But Rudolf was not willing to surrender, so he turned to a young talent he already knew from the local circuit, Uli Jon Roth, a virtuoso guitarist influenced by Hendrix-style psychedelia and classical music. His style connected with the band immediately, and he ultimately became their new official guitarist. With this new lineup, Scorpions were ready to take the next step. The goal was clear: to move beyond the European scene and conquer the United States, and with it, the rest of the world. Their sound became heavier, the guitars gained distortion and body, and their new hard rock identity began to pulse with fury. But they also had another secret weapon: the raw energy of their concerts. Every show made an impact, and their fan base kept growing more and more. Between 1974 and 1976, they released 3 essential albums: Fly to the Rainbow, In Trance, and Virgin Killer. These works not only defined the sound of Scorpions, but also marked a new aesthetic within European hard rock. Songs like Speedy's Coming, Top of the Bill, and the delicate Yellow Raven showed their versatility. They could be wild and melodic within the same song. That contrast connected with thousands of fans and became the band's unmistakable signature. If you are like us and believe there are no bands like this anymore, hit like and subscribe to Millennium Rock so we can keep remembering these rock legends. Let us continue. But just when everything seemed to be falling into place, another blow arrived. After the release of the successful album Taken by Force in 1977, Uli Jon Roth decided to leave the group. His style, increasingly distant from hard rock and closer to neoclassical music, led him down a different path. Once again, Scorpions were left without their lead guitarist, just as they were about to make the definitive leap. This time, they could not afford to fail. They needed to find the ideal replacement, but it would not be easy, as we will see next. After months of uncertainty, Scorpions faced a crucial decision: finding a new guitarist. And it was not easy. They had to audition more than 140 guitarists from all over Europe. The position demanded much more than talent. It required charisma, attitude, and a stage presence capable of matching the power left behind by Michael Schenker and Uli Jon Roth. Finally, Scorpions found the musician they had been looking for: Matthias Jabs, young, explosive, and full of an energy that immediately fit the band's DNA. His arrival sealed the classic Scorpions lineup: Klaus Meine on vocals, Rudolf Schenker and Matthias Jabs on guitars, Francis Buchholz on bass, and Herman Rarebell on drums. From that moment on, their rise was unstoppable. Through constant work, the band kept polishing its sound album after album, tour after tour. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Scorpions were no longer just a promise. They were a perfectly tuned machine. The trio of albums formed by Love Drive, 1979, Animal Magnetism, 1980, and Blackout, 1982, placed them at the doorstep of global success. Songs like Love Drive, The Zoo, and No One Like You showed a band in full creative maturity, capable of blending virtuosity, melody, and power with astonishing ease. But just when everything seemed aligned, the unthinkable happened. During the recording sessions for Blackout, Klaus Meine began to notice something strange in his voice. At first it was discomfort, then constant hoarseness, until one day he simply could no longer speak normally, much less sing. The doctors were blunt. Klaus had developed severe nodules on his vocal cords, the result of extreme vocal strain and improper technique after years of relentless touring. Their recommendation was devastating. Stop singing, find another profession, abandon his dream. The group was stunned. After more than a decade of overcoming obstacles, they were about to lose their lead voice. But Rudolf Schenker was clear about one thing. This time, there would be no possible replacement. There would be no auditions. If it was not with Klaus, it would not be with anyone. So, while the band entered a forced period of pause, Klaus underwent 2 high-risk surgeries, followed by a long process of vocal rehabilitation. They were months of uncertainty, silence, and fear. Scorpions' success was hanging by a thread, literally by a single vocal cord. But what came next would be the greatest reward for never giving up. Against all odds, Klaus Meine recovered. After 2 surgeries and extensive rehabilitation, his voice emerged again, stronger than ever. He did not just speak again, he sang again, and he roared again. His return was a second chance not only for him, but for the entire band. So, in 1983, Scorpions threw themselves completely into creating the most important album of their career. It was no longer only about making good music. They had to prove to their fans, and to the entire world, that they were still alive, still strong, and still had something powerful to say. After years of inactivity and uncertainty, they knew this was their chance to come back, and they had to do it through the front door. They began working on demos at the legendary Polar Studios in Stockholm, the same place where ABBA had created much of its work. The album would be called Love at First Sting. The atmosphere was tense. The album was full of powerful songs like Rock You Like a Hurricane, but everyone, the band, the production team, and the record company, felt that something was missing. They needed an anthem, a song that would leave a mark. The pressure was extreme. Scorpions needed a spark, and that spark came from Rudolf Schenker. In the middle of the sessions, he brought back an old chord progression he had composed 6 years earlier, a melody that their former guitarist, Uli Jon Roth, had rejected at the time because he considered it too pop. But this time, everything was different. Klaus heard the arpeggio, and something came alive inside him. He left the studio to walk silently through the snow, as if the song had already been written in his mind. Images began to arrive, one after another. The story revealed itself on its own. He ran back to the studio, picked up a pencil and paper, and began to write. Right there, Still Loving You was born. The lyrics told the story of a broken couple who, despite everything, decide to try again. It was a story of second chances, of wounds that heal, of love that survives ruin. But perhaps without intending to, it was also the story of Scorpions and Klaus Meine himself. A band that refused to give up, even when doctors said there was no hope left. Klaus's vocal performance on the song was visceral. The crescendo that leads into the final chorus is an emotional journey filled with nostalgia and pain, but also with hope. The message is clear. What is worth saving should not be allowed to die. Curiously, it was the last song recorded and the final track on the album. At that point, their new album was ready to be released. What came next would surpass any dream those young Scorpions of 1965 could ever have imagined. And finally, in 1984, Scorpions released the album that would change everything. Love at First Sting. Inside that record, almost like a secret hidden at the end of the track list, was a song destined to break every imaginable barrier. Still Loving You became a global phenomenon. Within weeks, the ballad shot up the charts across Europe. It reached the top 5 in multiple countries, entered the Billboard chart in the United States, and transformed Scorpions from an established band into a living legend. They were no longer just German rockers conquering stages. They had become the band that accompanied millions of people in their most intimate and emotional moments. The background sound of reconciliations, impossible loves, and stories that deserved a second chance. In France, the impact was so deep that it became a social phenomenon. Not only because they sold 1 million copies in that country alone, but also because the song was linked to a wave of births and reconciliations. On one hand, it was credited with a baby boom in 1985. On the other, with helping 100,000 couples reconcile. That same year, Scorpions performed Still Loving You in front of 1.5 million people at Rock in Rio, delivering one of the most memorable performances in their history. From that stage in Brazil, their music became forever tied to an entire generation. Love at First Sting also had other songs that hit hard. Rock You Like a Hurricane became an international hard rock anthem, while tracks like Big City Nights and Bad Boys Running Wild reinforced the image of a band at the top of its game, capable of combining energy, melody, and attitude in a single blow. Now tell me, What were you doing, and how old were you when you discovered Still Loving You? Write it in the comments. We read you. With that album, Scorpions had not only achieved commercial success, but had also managed to function as a true team, almost like a family. And with that, they conquered something much harder and more valuable. A place among the greatest legends of rock, and in the hearts of people all over the world, as we will see next. After the release of Love at First Sting, Scorpions did not stop. The band released 10 more studio albums, and among them another immortal gem would emerge, Wind of Change. That opening whistle became the anthem of a generation watching the world transform before its eyes.
Did you ever think?
In the 1990s, with the Cold War coming to an end and the Berlin Wall falling, Wind of Change became a song of global hope. The single sold more than 14 million copies, and today it remains one of the best-selling singles of all time. But it all began with Still Loving You. That was the doorway that allowed them to move out of the heart of hard rock and into the souls of millions. It was the song that gave them the emotional permission to go beyond volume and speak to the world. Unlike many bands of their generation, Scorpions never disappeared. They remained active for decades, releasing albums, touring the planet, and renewing their connection with new generations. In 2022, they released their 19th album, Rock Believer. With more than 100 million records sold, their music is heard today in stadiums, films, weddings, and radio stations all over the world. Not even in their wildest dreams could Rudolf Schenker, Klaus Meine, and Matthias Jabs have imagined that 60 years later, they would still be making music that moves the planet. Much less that they would receive honors such as the Hard Rock Cafe Lifetime Achievement Award, a star on the Hollywood Rock Walk, a street named after them in Spain, and even an official day in Los Angeles. But perhaps the most impressive thing is not the awards, but the respect. Bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Guns N' Roses, and Testament have cited them as a direct influence because their legacy is not only made of songs, it is made of attitude, resilience, and authenticity. What began as a local band from Hanover ended up marking the history of rock. Scorpions faced lineup changes, cultural barriers, and even the temporary loss of their own voice, but they never stopped. It was not only talent, it was conviction. And today, more than half a century later, they are still there. Because some names are not erased. They are engraved in time. Like Scorpions, another band nearly vanished after an accident. Yet from that tragedy, heavy metal was born. Click the next video and discover how one song turned Black Sabbath into the gods of metal. See you there, my rock friend.